Hi, and welcome to the Bouncing Back Podcast, Professionals Thriving with Chronic Illness. I'm Melissa McCurley, your host, and someone navigating life and business with the challenges of autoimmune disease. This podcast is about resilience, inspiration, and actionable strategies to help you thrive, no matter where you are in your health journey. In each episode, we'll share stories and insights from professionals who've bounced back stronger. Let's redefine what it means to live and thrive with chronic illness. Now, let's dive in. Hello, and welcome to today's podcast. My name is Melissa McCurley, your host for today, and I've been a professional for over 20 years in both the TV and film industry, as well as real estate, working as an investor and a realtor. In 2020, I had a major life reset due to autoimmune disease that forced me to step back and away from pretty much everything in my life. 2024 was my first year back working full-time in real estate. It was a very successful year. And so I'm here to share stories and strategies about creating success while living with chronic illness. This is the path that I'm walking now, and I just want to show others that success is possible. And I'm so excited to introduce our guest today, Angelica Ventrice. She's a 7-figure high-performance health and business mentor, founder of the Aligned Method, which is an amazing program for high-level professionals. She'll tell you a bit more about that. And she's been featured in media such as Entrepreneur and Authority Magazine, My Fitness Pal blog, and many other awesome, fantastic podcasts. And as you can see, she is a beautiful person on the outside as well as the inside. And I just want to say, Angelica, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I must be having good hair day. And I'm just kidding.
Beautiful hair day.
Yes.
Did I pronounce your last name right correctly? I actually meant to ask you beforehand.
You did. I was going to say good job because I get all different butcherings of the name. So you did it well. Obviously in Italian, it's Ventrice, but we're not going to go that crazy.
Oh gosh. I'm
I
love that, but I would butcher that.
I never say it like that. No, you did great. What story you have? I mean, good for you, because last year was, for a lot of realtors, they said it was a struggle bus. So good for you for coming back and standing in your power. And you know, the thing with chronic illness, we have a lot of women in our program who have it, and it's part of your story. It doesn't need to be your whole entire story. It's part of your story of who makes you who you are. And I love that you're not playing victim to it. You've taken a stance to teach others how you can thrive with whatever's going on in your life.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You know, I had some dark days. I wasn't always in the spot, but but it's part of what made me successful in the front end. And I'm like, if I can do it, you can do it. So,
well, it makes you who you are, right? You know what I mean? Like, makes you who you are. The things, the cards that I was dealt when I was heavier, severe acne, depression, all these things. Like back then, I felt like a victim. Why me? Why can't I shift out of this? But now it's like I was given a gift to be able to speak on these things. You know, whether it being in an abusive relationship, whatever it may be, all those challenges we've had, we're able to help others get through them.
That's it. And as you touched on, so you have your own personal story of transformation that redirected you into going into fitness and personal development full time. Would you share that a bit?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So I lost 40 pounds many years ago, and I was doing pharmaceutical sales at the time. So I come from like a very harsh, corporate hustle background, which is why I relate to a lot of realtors, because I was going from doctor's office to doctor's office, and you guys are going from house to house, and we're driven by numbers and money and revenue and all the things. So I get it. And I got really burnt out. You know what? I would go to bed at night and yes, I was making a lot of money, but I felt horrible in my body. I felt burnt out. I felt exhausted, all the entertaining, all the drinking, all the getting food on the go, just crap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just decided to hire a coach. I was like, I need to get myself out of this. And I hired my first coach. He helped me not just lose the physical weight, but the emotional weight I was carrying with that. Because, body transformation, our bodies are portals for so many things, and we carry a lot of energy with it. So it's not just like, yes, I lost the 15 pounds, great, big deal. But losing that 40 pounds is just transcended me to a different level, emotionally. And that's when I also then got a life coach and spiritual coach. And then I got into life coaching. I feel like it took me on this path that led me to where I am today. But when I was going through that journey, something hit me you need to leave medical sales and you need to help other women. And it was female intuition, spirit guides. I'm very spiritual, whatever about the message. The message is
all of it.
Yeah, we're you need to do this. And I left my, medical sales job from New York, moved to California, started training, started coaching, nutrition coaching, mindset coaching. And now it's evolved over the years into really the focus is holistic health, mindset coaching. And then I do some one-on-one business mentorship on the side, not on the side, but like I can only take on so many women at once. But so it's really evolved. And I always tell women, like, follow your gut, follow that intuition, follow that passion. Because I'll have a lot of women come to me like, well, I want to be an online coach, or I want to leave corporate, but I'm afraid because I have such a good salary. And it's like, it'll all work out. You have to have that trust. So I just kept trusting and trusting in the moves I was making,
Well, kudos to you, because a lot of people don't, like you said. So kudos to you for answering the call. And of course, it took you along this path that seems more aligned with you at a spiritual level and then at a business level. And you've just created success from that. So outstanding.
I think you can live in your fear or you can take a risk. You know what I mean? And as they say, the greatest risk of all is taking no risk at all. So I guess I would consider myself a risk taker. And, sometimes it pays off and sometimes it backfires, but there's always a lesson. So you can choose
even sometimes when we're moving backwards, that's part of the process, is ultimately moving us forward.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, in the last, the end of last year, I felt this really big pullback and I was like, wow, what's happening? The universe was giving me signs. I needed to shift. I rebranded into the Align method. Yeah. My program was formerly Fit for Life. So the Align method is really what it sounds like. It's aligning all areas of your life: mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, financial. So our program really covers it all. Yeah.
That's awesome. And so it sounds like, and I want to hear more about the program. I'm leading into that. Your definition of success is not just weight loss or finance, and and in your name, Aligned, it's right there. But I'd love to hear about that. I know you've worked with over 900 women. I saw online, which is tremendous. So you've probably seen everything. Can you tell us about that, about success, what you're seeing, and how the Aligned method is putting those pieces together that we like so much in our culture to think of as separate, and intuitively know that they're not. They're part of the whole.
They're not, right? We're all energetic beings, and we're really we're living in this human body here in the 3D, right? But we're all like energetic beings. And so the energies are intertwined. So if you think that you can keep going on and on, living in a body that isn't thriving when your career is thriving, eventually it's going to catch up to you. Vice versa, right? Like if you're only focused on all the aesthetics of your body, all these things, and then you're letting your career kind of go. So everything needs to be in alignment. Your relationships, the people you hang out with, where you spend your time and your energy, boundaries, all these things. And I mean, like I said, yes, I've worked with over 900 women, but a lot of these women, they're mothers, they're very busy in their careers. A lot of them have autoimmune disorders. Yeah, a lot of different things, severe surgeries, perimenopause, menopause, all the things. At the end of the day, it's like, when you pour into you, you are your greatest return on investment. And if you want to build your career, or you want to build your business, thrive in your career, move up the ladder, whatever it may be, your body is the portal. And I think we forget that. We actually live in our bodies. Like, friendly reminder, hi, that's your home. Yes, we all live in physical homes, but your body is literally your home. And I think we just go through the day to day, and as high achieving women, which you are, I'm sure a lot of the ladies listening are very high achieving, perfectionists. And all of a sudden you go through your day to day and you're just checking a box, living in that masculine energy. And you forget whoa, where am I? How do I feel? I feel so disconnected from myself, from my body. Look in the mirror. You're like, where did I go? So it's not just about, like we said, the weight loss. It's about coming back to you and being in full alignment with yourself, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and then of course, thriving in all areas of your life.
I love that. I love that so much. And that was my story. In hindsight, I see all the signs that my body was giving me, that my spirit was giving me. And I'm one of those personality types that I literally had to get to where I couldn't get out of bed one day. Like it had to get that bad for me to recalibrate.
Yeah,
I had to go that low.
High achiever. What is one of the caveats? It's great to be a high achiever, but at the same time, something similar happened to me last year. I got very sick. I kept getting signs. I kept ignoring it till I couldn't ignore it. And I was so sick, getting IVs, all this blood work. And I was spirit was sending me other signs, but I was ignoring. And that's one of the things I teach. Are you tuning into the present moment? Are you listening to your body? Are you paying attention? And that's learning how to live more in the feminine energy, which is high achievers, women. We don't do that. We're all in the masculine. So things for us to work on, right?
I love that you brought up the energies. I've done a lot of work with Tony Robbins. I've gone to a lot of his events and then also volunteered with him. He talks a lot about masculine and feminine as well. Yeah. One of the fears I noticed when I was looking at your online presence, I had a fear or an internal limitation come up for me where I felt like, God, to look like that, to have that much definition and fitness, I would have to be so much of my masculine. I immediately had this limiting belief of I'm going to have to get up so early and I'm going to have to eat so regimented. I had a lot of fear. I'm sure you don't. This is my limitation, right? Right. Time with the masculine, and then to hear you immediately go into the feminine energy around that. I love it. And I would love to hear more about, because maybe that's my mindset, excellence in anything is a masculine energy forward, but that's just my belief, right?
So a lot of our beliefs. Yeah.
But I think I'm not alone in that. I think probably that's probably where a lot of my viewership got to where they got to be with the chronic, right? Was pushing so much in that masculine energy and not allowing the feminine. So I'd love to hear you speak to that, because you're bringing in feminine, not just for us as our spirit, but with success at body and also business.
Yeah. And I want to make it very clear. This is a newer thing for me because I've lived in the masculine for so long. I'm from New York. I come from a hustle mentality. Any New Yorkers listening, you know how it is. I work hard. I hustle. You know, my dad told me money doesn't grow on trees. So there's like that intergenerational trauma. You grow up thinking these things and it's like, oh my God, it's never enough. It's never enough. It's never enough. And you get on this hamster wheel until finally your body breaks down, you get sick, you're depressed, you're disconnected, you are in literal burnout, like you and I kind of mentioned. And you just realize like there's a better way to do things. I believe that there's an interplay between the feminine and masculine. There's an energy to both that can help you thrive in your business. If you're living too much in the masculine, you're going to head towards burnout. If you're too much in the feminine, your business could slow down. Yes, we want to be feminine, we want to receive, but there's still some strategy that's necessary. You know, there are coaches that are like, yeah, I'm sipping my margarita, laying out on the beach. Okay, great. But like there is some masculine energy required, but there's that nice dance that needs to happen between both. That's really what I believe for sure. And, you know, I've had people say that, well, oh, I land on your page and it looks, I can never look like you. I can never do this. I'm like, I don't work out hours a day. I don't eat strict. I don't even put terms in it like that. I eat the food that makes me feel good, that keeps my body out of inflammation, that fuels me, that gives me brain clarity, that keeps my gut clear. Do I enjoy treats? Yeah. My husband and I like to bake. I love baking gluten-free brownies.
Yeah, my mom's gluten-free too.
Yeah, gluten-free pumpkin bread once a week, but I wouldn't call myself strict. I eat things when I want to eat them. If I want a slice of pizza, I have a slice of pizza, but I know I'm going to pay for it a little bit, but that New Yorker is still there and she loves her pizza and her bagel. You know, so I think that there's a fine balance between it. But, you know, I appreciate your honesty in saying that sometimes I think maybe my photos could scare people off, but like it's not this strict, crazy thing that I'm doing. I've just kind of hacked the system that I know what works for me, what works for my body, what works for other women, right? Because we're also individualized, and how to work out for my body type, for my age, and for my hormones. And that's really what it comes down to, because what a lot of these women are doing, they're like late 30s, 40s, 50s, and they're trying to do what they were doing in their 20s and 30s. And it's not working. You have to address, I actually filmed the video on this, you have to address the stress, the gut health, the hormones, also your mindset, past trauma, like all these things, ladies, are building up in your body. So if you just think that eating less and doing some cardio is going to work, that's not the answer. Yeah. You know?
Well, and I mean, I found your pictures so inspiring. I didn't want to misrepresent. And then my self-talk was like, God, I can't have another full-time job to get there. And that's programming too, right? Like, I'm like, where does that come from? That, you know, I'm going to have an Arnold Schwarzenegger level training experience. Yeah, I've heard a couple of people who are women in our age group who are very dialed into their bodies, who it's like less is more with it. It's targeted, it's strategic. And it's like,
you're exactly right.
And I think that bucks a lot of the messaging, you know what I mean? Because it doesn't sell 1,000 diet books, right?
It doesn't. And I noticed that for me too. I stand against a lot what the industry says. And when I make those videos, they typically don't perform as well, because people are like, oh yeah, right, your mindset affects your physiological body. It's like, yeah, the thoughts you think have an energetic vibration from a metaphysical standpoint that can create inflammation. You want to live in fear and worry and doubt and stress, you be living under a rock to not realize that doesn't affect your physiological body. I think at the end of the day too, for these high achieving women, health is a business strategy. Like feeling aligned and confident and energetic, having that brain clarity. Health is not a luxury. It's a business strategy. You want to sell more houses, you want to make more money, you want to thrive. It's a business strategy. And it'll actually give you more time because you'll have more energy. You won't feel so burnt out by 3:00, grabbing another coffee or whatever you're doing. It's not another job unless you tell yourself that story.
Right.
At the end of the day, you know, one of the questions you asked me that I love, you said, people feel like health is another thing to do. You know what's another thing to do? Taking medicine, feeling like you can't be fully present, being on vacation with your family and not being able to run after your kids because you don't have the energy. Those are other things to do.
Running to the chiropractor every other day, and the massage therapist. And
GI, have acid reflux.
Rheumatologist.
Yeah, all these things that are taking up time, or feeling like you are moving slower literally in your career because you have the brain fog because you haven't like cleared your gut. You know what I mean? So health isn't a luxury. It's a priority. It's a business hack. It is literally the foundation to grow your business, to thrive. It's no surprise to me that the women, the realtors who come into my program are selling more houses. They come in like averaging, my goal is like 2 solid a month, and then they're selling 4, and then they're selling 5.
Is that what you're saying? I was going to ask you, what kind of results in your mind
of course, yes.
Really?
Of course, they get the body transfer.
I love hearing that.
Yeah, I have a client. She's not a realtor, but she's in outside sales. Last year, 2 years ago, she made 250,000, and then she did 500K.
I love it.
Yeah. So this is what's happening in the program. This is what happens when you put your health and alignment first. It ripples into your relationship, your intimacy, how you're showing up for your family, your kids, all the things, and of course your business. So like you'd be blind to think that like health is another to-do. That's a story, and that's an identity shift that needs to be made. And one of the things that I teach in my program very strongly is who you're becoming. It's not so much about what you're doing. This is where people get caught up. Oh, I got to do this. I got to track this. No, who are you? Who are you on this journey? Your identity piece. So are you going to adopt the identity of the woman who values her health for her wealth? Or are you just going to say, oh, this is something else to do?
Or I'm just going to accept it because of my age, or I'm going to accept it because of...
Right. Or I'm going to tell my metabolism is broken. No, it's not broken. We just need to rework it. Right. But at the end of the day, like the real issue is not the logistics of finding more time or getting the steps in or making the meals. It's your identity. We want to say it's logistical, but it really is the identity piece. It's a mindset shift. It's the mindset work. And this is the deep work we do in our program that makes us so different. We're not just going to slap you with the meal plan and workouts, because you can find that on ChatGPT.
Right.
It's the mindset shift. It's the identity. And it's a high level of accountability. I mean, you probably had a coach at some point in your life, right?
Yeah. The first year that I decided to make being a realtor my full-time business, because I'd been mostly an investor. I was a house flipper. I hired the Tom Ferry Group and coached with one of the top. Yeah, there you go. Of course I did. And I built a 6-figure business in 1 year in a market where I knew like 5 people.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you. So
that's what I recommend to people who are coming into real estate. Like, if you can, get a coach.
Yeah. Get a coach.
If you can't, work until you can't. Like, it should be your number one.
Figure out, put on your credit card and figure it out. But so I have a lot of women that come to me that have done the Tom Ferry coaching. And the thing that they like to do with me from a business standpoint is it's much more feminine selling. So what those male real estate coaches, they're great, but they kind of give you, I mean, there's a million strategies, but who are you being again? What's your energy? What's your identity? Is there anything from your past that you're holding on to that's blocking you from receiving more abundance, from selling more houses? And then when we clear that, the client's business skyrockets.
I love that. I love your energy terms. Like, I've done a lot of energy work in my life. I've been on the receiving end, and just hearing that gets me so juiced, because
good.
so often in the business world, it's so separate. You know, it's the business stuff. It's tracking your numbers, tracking your KPIs. It's, and sometimes we think of them as separate. And then I'm going to go meditate. Okay, we're allowed to meditate now. Like, that's that's sort of more normal. But I've always been more woo-woo than most people, my business peers. But to hear them come together, because
that's my program. Whether I'm 100% in business, whether you're being coached in business or whether you're being coached in our health transformation program, it's strategy and energetics. So I have women who come to me, they can eat their food perfectly. They could be getting their steps or working out, but the weight's not moving. Okay, what's going on beneath the surface? What trauma do you have? What stories are you telling yourself? What energy are you living in and day out? This is why I get so angry when people are like, it's just calories in, calories out, be in a caloric. Or it's like in real estate, it's just do these strategies and you'll be successful to an extent. But to get to the next level, is your body able to hold that well?
Right. Are you enjoying yourself in the process?
Yeah. Or you just focus on checking the box, masculine, check the box. I made this much income. What's next? You don't even get to celebrate your wins. That's why I tell my client, you just sold a $5 million house. Did you celebrate? No. You just went to say what's next. You just went to say what's next. And that's masculine. And that's when burnout comes.
Yeah. That's so it. That's 100% it. I love it. It's just resonating. Wow. Good. Where were you before 2020? I'm just kidding.
I was online. So I was one of the smart ones that moved my business in 2018. And so when 2020 happened, I was already set up. I was like, oh, thank you, universe. I was golden. We blew up because we already had a stable online business, and everyone was like, nice. Oh my God, out. So, Gotcha. But now I think people are craving the more in-person things, which is why I mentioned to you, I started doing those healthy hustle workshops, which is how to thrive in your business. I do a lot with realtors. I just held one for realtors in San Diego, how to build your real estate empire without burnout. And it was very well received. So we talked about stress and gut health and overcoming those mindset shifts that you and I just talked about as well, and some practical strategies to really implement to help them prevent burnout, because it's so prevalent. 66% of women are burnt out. And I would guess that it's actually a higher statistic because not everyone knows it or wants to admit it.
Right.
So, right.
And then like when you talk about burnout, I know it gets used different ways and you have a very specific, meaning for that. Where do you see burnout in relationship to like literally developing a chronic illness that shuts you down? How close are they? How different? Are they just on the same scale of points on the same, what do you see there?
Yeah, I think that they are on the same scale. I believe that if you've reached a point of chronic illness, like I had Epstein-Barr virus reactivation. It's like if you had mono in college, you then have Epstein-Barr virus in the system forever. Okay, I got in college for my roommate. I never really thought about it again until I literally could not get out of bed. And I was like, my skin was yellowy, like I was pale, I was like weak. I had like migraine. I was like, why am I so sick? But like, I didn't have a fever, but like, anyway, that's what happened last year. And I got to that point because of burnout, because of pushing so hard in my business. And sure, I take vacations, but am I fully present on the vacation? I want to get that, you know what I mean? Like it takes, and they say it takes a good like 5 days to actually like disassociate from work, but I'm not always taking 2-week vacation. So sometimes I am, right? Like on my honeymoon, but at a certain extent, like it's like I needed to have that break and I needed to have that happen to me to come to the realization like, okay, yes, money's great. Yes, I love my business, but like, even though I'm healthy, I eat healthy and I exercise and I do the things. I ground, I walk the beach every day. We live in Maui. I still was, it doesn't matter. Yeah. You could be doing all the things, but not be in the energy of it as well.
Right.
You
that
can
makes total sense.
Yeah, you can meditate all you want, but if you're like, if you're not present, you're not rewiring your brain, and
if you're just checking it off the list.
Yeah,
it's just another thing.
And that was me. I was checking a lot of things. So I do believe that women who have autoimmune disorders, leaky gut, candida, all ththese things that happen from a gut health standpoint, hormonal standpoint, autoimmune standpoint, a lot is because of stress and trauma and the burnout that their body has been under, adrenal fatigue, all of these things.
Wow. Yeah, for sure. I think that my audience would agree with that as well.
Yeah, your cells change on a structural level just from one stressful incident. And
really?
So does your gut microbiome. Yeah. So now think of one incident. Now multiply all the stressful incidences in your life. You're in your 50s, 40s, late 30s, whatever it is. Like when I held the workshop, I said, how many times did you get stressed out today? And they all looked at me like, why? So let's just say 4. I said, now multiply 4 by, let's say you work 5 days a week, right? 5 times 20. Now multiply that by a year. Now multiply that by how many years you've been an adult who has a lot of stress and even stress as a kid. I mean, hello, what are those numbers? Are crazy. So of course your body is holding on to inflammation. Of course you have chronic illness or autoimmune or severe fatigue or all these things, right? But we kind of just glaze over it. Like, oh, I'm just stressed. No, what happens is we've adapted to living in a high stress state, and that's not good. We've adapted to living in fight or flight. Yeah. And we need to get out of that. And that's what we help with. So nervous system regulation is part of my program. We actually have a somatic healing coach. I do meditation and visualization. Yeah, we have a whole team of coaches. It's not just health. So I have human design, I have theta healing, we have somatic, we have breath work, visualization, stress management. So I have a whole array of coaches to help women with whatever is going on. Alignment. All areas.
For real. That's deep. That's so, you hear the term alignment used, but that's as deep of a process as I've ever heard, to be honest with you. That's amazing.
So this has just happened in the last, 2 months or so. I really I went through the rebrand the end of last year and I was like, what do I want this to look like? It can't just be me and my 2 health coaches. There has to be some other types of coaches. And while I am spiritual and I do channel, I do light language, I am not certified in breath work, right? So I wanted a breath work facilitator. So then I wanted someone to do human design because I find that fascinating. And I think what happened to human design, they're better in their careers. They show up differently. So all these facets that come together to help our clients in all different ways.
So for people who in the audience who may not know what human design is, can you give a little elevator explanation?
Oh God, yeah. Well, okay.
I know it goes deep. So
I've got a few readings. So basically they get it from where you were born, your birth time, your birth date, and the city you were born. And through that, there's some charting that these human design specialists do. And they tell you basically where you operate from. So do you operate from your sacral, your gut, how you make decisions? Are you a generator, a manifesting generator? There's reflectors. So there's all these different terms. I'm a generator, which if you're listening, it's what it sounds like. I generate.
You generate.
I'm a doer. Like I'm a go, go, go. So that is my energy, right? So I operate like I make decisions from my gut. So like there's all these things. There's all these numbers. Once again, I'm not an expert, but anytime I get a reading, I'm like, woo, mind blown. And it in a way like validates some of the way you're feeling, because you're like, damn, why am I this way? Why do I do this? And when you get the human design reading, you're like, oh, interesting. It's so interesting. So yeah.
Wow. You're like, that kind of felt like it's something I couldn't separate myself from. I wasn't sure why.
Yeah, so interesting. Yeah. So interesting things. Yeah.
Gosh, it's so much goodness. Well, we're getting a little bit short on our time. You've given me so much to think about. And I like to do a little recap here. And there's a lot. So real quick, do you have any final words? And then I'm just going to do a little recap for the audience. And then I want you to tell us where we can find you to continue the conversation.
Yeah. Final words. I would say if you're a woman who's listening and you're a high achiever and you're 35 plus and you're struggling to feel like energetic, aligned, and confident in your body, don't suffer any longer, because in your business, right? We're very connected to our businesses. Like I know I am, I know you are. And it's like, you want to thrive, you want to grow it. And remembering that the body is your vessel to that greater wealth, to that greater happiness. And it's not a number on the scale. It's not having 6-pack abs. It's a feeling, and it's a feeling you deserve. And with, summer really around the corner, like you want to show up, for yourself, for your kids. You want to enjoy like the cute outfits, running after them, just like being present in life. And when you're not present in your body, you're not present in life, quite honestly. You can only show up to a certain extent. People can find me on my Instagram. It's great. I'm always on there. Send me a DM. I have a free Reset Your Metabolism training right now, just for the next 10 days. Well, I'm not sure when this podcast is coming out, but if you hear me on the podcast, I'll be happy to give it to you complimentary. Or if you're interested in learning more about the program, just send me a DM. The Angelica Ventrice is my handle. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you so much. One of the things I'm hearing is that people who deal with chronics, we spend so much time, energy, and money trying to fix the problem, right? Trying to manage the symptoms, find out the answers. What if we worked with a professional and put that same kind of focus and energy at like becoming excellent again? Yeah.
Getting to the root cause of like, where did this actually come from? Doctors, I mean, listen, there's a place and a time for Western medicine, but I really take the other route. I'm very holistic. Even before putting my clients on supplements for their gut health, we address stress, trauma, and lifestyle and nutrition. Right. I'm not going to slap the supplements on. So I think really getting to the root cause of whatever is going on. And we've helped so many women like get off anxiety medicine, get off like antidepressants. So, you're not alone. You're not stuck. You just need some guidance.
So exciting. I appreciate you so much. This is really empowering. I just listening to you, I can feel like myself getting power back and possibilities. And I will be joining your program and keeping people updated. So
I love it. Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. Well, let me just wrap it up. So if you enjoyed today's podcast, please don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. Check out Angelica at her different places. I'm going to link it in the information below for more of her inspirational insights and her free tools, and then how to take things to the next step to work with her. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Bouncing Back podcast. We'll be back in 2 weeks with more inspiring stories of success. So until then, keep bouncing back. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of the Bouncing Back podcast, Professionals Thriving with Chronic Illness. I hope you found inspiration and actionable takeaways to support you on your journey. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who might need a little encouragement today. Remember, thriving with chronic illness is possible. You are stronger than you think. Until next time, take care and keep bouncing back.